Wow. Terminator, Dark Fate. This is directed by Tim Miller and sees the return of James Cameron, this time in the producer's chair and the man behind the idea for this story. Before I get into the review of this film, I'm going to tell you a story about a little 4 or 5-year-old kid. This is a long time ago. And one day, this kid is out shopping with his parents. And they're in this big store like a Walmart. And this kid is walking by this display of movies. And on that display is an image this kid falls in love with. It was the original Terminator. That kid, shocking, was me. I first saw that movie at the age of 5, and that is the film that made me fall in love with motion picture. Arnold Schwarzenegger became my idol. That was my favorite movie. That's what started it all. And then Terminator 2 Judgment Day came out, and that was an absolute game changer in the world of cinema. So fast forward all these years, we've had Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, and now the film that so many are saying is finally the Terminator sequel we have wanted, we have deserved. This is the real third Terminator film, so they say. Terminator Dark Fate. And if I'm being honest with my audience, the expectations were so low for this film. I said going into the movie, I'm expecting the worst, but I'm hoping for the best. I was really willing to give this film a chance. But I think the one person who can summarize everything up in regards to whether or not this movie is any good is Miss Linda Hamilton. So take it away, Linda.
What do you think? Was it worth all of it?
It's okay.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. By far the best thing about this movie is the return of Linda Hamilton. And I feel it's safe to say that 99% of the population who sees this movie, they're going to agree with me in regards to that. Linda Hamilton has been the key to these films. Arnold is, of course, the big draw. John Connor was the reason these stories were told. You have all the effects, all of this stuff that revolutionized movie making. But at the end of the day, the heart and soul, what held these films together, what made them, was Sarah Connor. And so to get her back on the screen and see her bring this to life again with a kind of newer version of Sarah, but it's still the Sarah Connor we know and love. That is the best part of this film. However, having said that, this film pissed me off so much. No more than 5 minutes into the movie. I'm not going to give anything away. This is spoiler free, but all I will say is everything about the first 2 films was completely done away with. It became absolutely irrelevant. James Cameron, I am so fed up with you. You sold out, sir. You absolutely sold out. What you did with these characters in less than 5 minutes into this movie completely said, screw you to the first 2 films that we all hold near and dear to our heart. Shame on you. So having just completely wiped away all of the relevant aspects of the first 2 films, they sit there and go, all right, that's no longer important, but what we're going to do is we're going to take the exact same story and just do it with different characters that we're going to just throw right at you that you're just automatically supposed to love and care about for no reason other than they're important. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to because it's the truth. The effects in this movie, 2019, are literally no better, if not worse, than the effects used in the 1991 Terminator 2 Judgment Day film. It blows my mind that it has been that long and the effects really don't stand out. There is absolutely nothing significant or innovative in this movie. Terminator 2 Judgment Day blows this out of the water in that department. I think the best way to describe what this movie is to compare it to Star Wars The Force Awakens, where they essentially said, we're going to bring back these big characters that everybody knows and loves. We're going to kind of give them a different role this go around, and we're going to introduce some newer people that are supposed to carry this story along into the future, but we're essentially just going to tell the same story you've already seen. And I felt like that's exactly what this movie was. You know, there were so many parts in this movie that are literally just straight out of the first and second Terminator. It's essentially the same scene, same concept, same idea, but they're just gonna take different actors and put them into these roles. It's literally the same freaking thing. And yet, it just manages to be, okay. Did this film have action? Absolutely. Lots of action. Tons of action. To the point of, it was kind of ridiculous. A little too much over the top. A lot of the scenes, I couldn't really follow along with what's going on. It's just too close. It's too shanky. It wasn't clear. There was literally nothing in this movie that made me go, wow. And if you watched enough of the trailers, you could pretty much know everything that was coming. They gave so much of that away in the trailers. Even if they had not done that, there was nothing that was going to stand out in my eyes. You know, the newer cast members in this film, they're okay. There's really nothing that stands out about their performances. It's just kind of whatever. And as I previously said, the highlight of this film is absolutely the return of Linda Hamilton. She's great. Love what she did. Getting to see her again. But unfortunately, that just doesn't save this movie. And of course, if you're talking Terminator, you have to mention the title character, the Austrian oak himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Except this time in this movie, even though I play a Terminator, I am not this badass, fearless, unstoppable machine. No, what I do is I provide the comic relief. My whole point in this film was totally unnecessary. I sat there and I give you jokes. I tried to make you laugh. Everything about me from the first two films, it pretty much is non-existent in this movie. I have a family. I do drapery work. And I also become the Terminator when it's time. As much as I loved Arnold as a kid, I can't say the feeling is the same as I've gotten older. That's a whole nother story. But seeing him come back to this role, yeah, there's that part of me, that little kid inside of me that's, ooh, this is gonna be great. But at the end of the day, it's really, really dumb seeing the Terminator as a comedian. The Terminator was an unstoppable badass. And you just don't get that same vibe from him now. I can understand, well, we want to do something different. We want to bring a new aspect to this role. I personally, I don't want to see him as a family man. I don't want to see him dealing with drapery. I don't need the Terminator as my comic relief. Really disappointed in that aspect. Not to say he doesn't have some cool moments and kick some ass, because he does, but in the end, it ain't worth it. Another thing I could sit here and talk about and rant on is all the little political messages, the social justice warrior aspect, the politically correct BS that we keep having shoved in our face in all of these movies. But even without that in the film, I still don't enjoy the movie. You could take all of that crap out, whether it's the Hispanic Terminator butchering all the U.S. Border Patrol guards, or Mackenzie Davis, who is good, by the way, I'm not knocking her, but the character who's part woman and part machine now, but she identifies as a human. Right, because that makes the story all the much better to have that shit thrown in your face. But forget all of the political messages and the social agendas. That's just the cherry on top as to why I just don't care for this film. I honestly don't think most people are going to like this film either. The best, and I mean absolute best, I could give this film, I will say I'm being very fair with rating it a 6. It was entertaining. I wasn't dying to get up and leave my seat, but let's be honest, there's nothing impressive, there's nothing that stands out about this film, and by next week, I will have forgotten all about it. Really, at the end of the day, there are only 2 Terminator films, and it needs to stop there. If we want to say a great Terminator 3 film, those of you who were fortunate to experience Terminator 2 3D Battle Across Time at Universal Studios Orlando, Hollywood, or overseas, that attraction unfortunately no longer exists, but that is, in my eyes, if we're going to have a third Terminator, the perfect third Terminator film. As far as I'm concerned, this franchise needs to be dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Guys, I do want to thank you for watching. I hope my opinion, and remember, it's just my opinion, you are allowed to disagree, but I hope my opinion has helped as to whether you want to see or not see this film. If you have seen it, let me know what your thoughts are, whether you agree or disagree. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please click that subscribe button, as I would appreciate your support, and I do appreciate all of my subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.